Reporting from the fight capital of the world, Shadi from Abu Dhabi. All right, guys. Wagwan, this is Shadi from Abu Dhabi, reporting live from Dubai, out here with my first guest on my podcast, Anas Siraj Mounir. This podcast out here, I started it because I'm an MMA aficionado. I love MMA. I'm also accredited UFC media member. I've been to a bunch of fights that they had here: UFC 242, UFC 280, UFC 257. We had a bunch of interactions with a bunch of fighters, a few questions with Dana White, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and more people, more MMA personalities. My honor today to have the Moroccan sensation Anas Siraj Mounir as the first guest on my podcast, Shadi from Abu Dhabi. Nice to have you, champ. I appreciate you being here.
The pleasure is all mine, and it's an honor coming straight from Dana White, Khabib Nurmagomedov to Anas Siraj Mounir. Thank you.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. So Anas is a professional MMA fighter. He does also commentary for UFC Arabia, and also he's one of the coaches for the MMA UAE national team, who recently have done incredible performances in youth championships, in the IBJ championships as well. Anas Siraj Mounir, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you very much. And
very
just
nice to have you.
On that note, I would like to congratulate the UAE national team. Honestly, I was so amazed. The athletes, I think the UAE is going to become the next Brazil when it comes to MMA. I see big potential. The youth and the kids, they want to represent their country. They have that fire inside. They want to represent their country in the best way. And honestly, there's big talents coming up, especially when it comes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was shocked, but in a good way.
I was shocked too, and I feel like someone went to Brazil and they saw how jiu-jitsu was integrated into schools and into the lifestyle, and they were like, we can integrate the same system in a better way in the UAE. So they integrated it into the school system. It was integrated into the sports council as well. And now we have monthly or bi-monthly competitions that we, like you said, we see incredible performances happening.
And just this weekend, there was the Muay Thai championship as well. So they're not just focusing on Jiu-Jitsu, but now we had the IMAF World Championship, where it was like probably 40 plus countries, 600 plus athletes. We had the Jiu-Jitsu as well. They flew straight away to Kazakhstan, I think.
Yes.
And then they had the Muay Thai just this weekend. So they're literally focusing on all aspects of
combat
mixed martial
sports.
arts. And also, rumor has it that they're going to focus on wrestling as well. So there's going to become... Honestly, I think the Emiratis are going to become beasts.
I believe so too. And I think the UAE in general, Abu Dhabi, Dubai specifically, are becoming busy hubs for MMA, where it's almost a mythical location when people talk about Abu Dhabi. And, like I will always remember the Sugar Sean quote where he said, I knocked down or I beat Peter Yan in Abu Dhabi. That's how you become a superstar. Yeah. You know what I mean? He did that. He won by by decision, but it was the foundation to his superstardom. And then from there you beat Aljamain Sterling. Now you're a superstar. So now everybody knows, if you are trying to become a UFC champion, you're trying to be a UFC superstar or something, you have to have that iconic performance in Abu Dhabi, or you have to come around and have a performance there for sure.
And not only that, but I was also when I was in UFC in Abu Dhabi last year, I was very surprised with the crowd.
Yeah,
it's a very well educated crowd, very intellectual. They were like interacting with a guard pass.
Exactly.
Or a head and arm triangle, while in other countries, for example, they don't have that knowledge. So when they see like ground fighting, they start booing, or cage work, they start booing. Yeah. While here, I was very, very surprised how the crowd was interacting with every single detail.
We also have to give the crowd its due when almost everybody in the crowd is a blue belt or higher, you know what I mean?
True.
You would expect the whole crowd to understand what's happening, and I think that's a great point that you bring up, because I don't think the crowd in Abu Dhabi gets the credit that it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
We always hear great things about the organization, the great things about how seamless, how there's never any issues, but also the crowd is a great crowd in Abu Dhabi.
Even from the weigh-ins, I think if you remember last year, the weigh-ins was packed. So I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to this year's UFC in Abu Dhabi.
Me too.
I think it's gonna be good vibes.
I think it's gonna be good vibes, but I think we're also gonna see a bit of madness. I think anytime you put characters like Paulo Costa and Hamza Chimaev within any sort of distance within each other, I think you get fireworks starting, sparks flying. So I'm very interested in that fight. I'm very, very interested in that fight.
It's gonna be like two funny but crazy characters clashing. So you're gonna hear, "I'm gonna smash." What he say? I don't understand. I'm gonna smash.
Yeah. And
Secret juice.
Secret juice. And Paulo Costa is great on Twitter. Paulo
Yeah.
Costa is great on
He's
Twitter.
funny.
He's very funny. Like, his memes are actually like funny. So if you don't know, follow Paulo Costa on Twitter at Bohachine MMA. You find him. It's a good account to follow.
He's hilarious.
He's hilarious. I don't want that to be our first thing I ask you technically, but for that fight, off the top of your head, who would you have?
Oof.
Off the top, yeah. And if we didn't delve into the details.
It's very tough. The main reason why I'm gonna say it's very tough, because we've never seen Paulo Costa fight off his back, and he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a long time, and he's physically strong.
He is.
And he's got strong striking. Now I know that Hamzat, who's training here in the UAE, he's doing his fight camp here in the UAE. He's also training with one of my best friends and my colleagues, Puya. Puya, who's a very, very good wrestler and MMA fighter. And I've seen their training, and man, Hamzat is tough. He's tough. He's as tough as they come. He's got really strong hands. His wrestling is out of this world. But I have a little doubt, especially about Paulo Costa's jiu-jitsu. We've never seen him on his back grappling.
Yeah.
Like, we've always seen him striking, or if he gets taken down, he just pops straight back up. Like, if you can think about it, like, when did you see Paulo Costa on his back? And
yeah, and the one time he was on his back is when Adesanya knocked him down, and he didn't
he
really
was already rocked.
Yeah,
so.
he was really rocked. We didn't really see.
So that's still in the back of my head. Like, that can be very surprising, or put a challenge for Hamzat.
Because but also Hamzat, you never know with Hamzat, because he might come in and actually like fight you for the first like couple of rounds. He might just take you down in the first 10 seconds. So.
But also, that's the beauty of this sport. With MMA, you never know what happens, man. Any second, the fight can change, or you can get a shock. Or look at this result in this weekend.
Yes.
Like, who would have expected that? Like, Strickland to win against Adesanya. Like, everyone was betting almost their houses on Adesanya.
Everyone.
The shock.
That was a shocking performance. That fight. I mean. I would also like to recap the event later on during the episode, so we can jump back to that, or we can do it now if you'd like. I don't mind.
Your show,
Okay.
Shadi in Abu Dhabi.
So I'd like to delve back into your career first. Your journey, how you started, what inspired you to starting, and then we'll get back to these
All right.
things. So if you just tell me, like, I know you're Moroccan. So what made you want, or when did you decide, okay, I'm gonna do this professionally, fight for a living, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be a prize fighter. When was that decision actually made?
Well, I'll have to go all the way back to my childhood.
Let's
Growing
go.
up in Morocco,
Yeah.
my neighborhood was split into two halves, and like we had two groups. A long story, and we were fighting every day, man. Every day, going to school, we had to fight. Playing football in the street, we had to fight. Going even on bicycles, we had like sticks with us and fighting like like the old times,
Yeah.
And like one funny incident, I was my mom sent me to buy some bread and butter, and I go and then I get the baguette and the butter, and I'm walking back, and two guys from the other group, they
They jumped
catch
you.
me, you know, they catch me. They're like, oh, what now? So I'm like, oh man, what do I do? Do I run? Do I stay and fight? Do I put the baguette and the butter down? So so they started swinging straight away. So I started swinging as well. Anyway, knocked one guy down. The other one got scared, and I legged it. I ran.
Okay.
And then when I when I got home, my mom saw the baguette and the butter, and they were all squished. And she's
Okay.
like, oh, what happened? I was like, I was chased by stray dogs, so I had to run. And I think that's what gave me that taste of like fighting and knocking someone down, and you know what I mean. And fighting all the way, like in football matches in Morocco, you'll have like Ramadan tournaments. People are fasting, but sometimes they're fighting and
Yeah.
so like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyway, I was playing football a lot. Everyone who saw me or who knew me thought I was going to become a professional football player.
Yeah.
Okay. And growing up, I wanted to become a professional football player.
How good were you?
I was really good.
Really
like,
good?
Really good.
Okay.
Really good. And I was loving it. And
Okay.
I remember like my dad was like, look, that's not going to work here. Go and do your homework, go and study, which was a very, very good advice, I think. And I did my studies, then got my master's degree in the UK. So when I went for studying in the UK, I was studying and working at the same time so I can pay rent and bills and all that. And I didn't do any sports. I didn't play football or nothing because I was just focusing on those two things. And I went from 73 kilos to 112 in like 1 year or less.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, okay, so this is not good, not healthy. I had health problems, all of that. I said, I have to go back now. I finished my studies. I have to go back to sports. Obviously, I can't go back to football at 112 kilos.
Yeah.
So what I did, one of my classmates, he was like, okay, look, I found this gym. Let's try, because we started watching the early UFCs and we got into it.
What year is this around, like roughly?
This was in 2009.
Okay. Yeah.
And he told me, look, we're watching the UFC. We like all of this. We like jiu-jitsu. I found a jiu-jitsu gym. Let's go and start just for fun and for fitness. So we started doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu just for fitness, just to lose some weight. And I had a really, really good coach back then at the dungeon. And he advised us to just jump into a competition that will give you a goal to drop weight for a certain weight category. And I remember my first competition was literally after a month of training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I had no clue. And we went to Scotland to, I think it was Edinburgh. Yeah, we went to Edinburgh and we did the competition. And I remember I got bronze.
Okay.
And that was the first competition, you know, and that feeling of getting a medal, even though you know nothing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I was on top of the world. And I was like, you know what? I like this. So again, competition after competition, I start dropping the weight, and then my coach pushes me to do kickboxing. So I start doing some striking, and again competed in amateur, getting some medals. And then my coach was like, why don't you mix the two? And that's MMA. And then I started like that. First, I think MMA fight I had it. It was back then in the UK. We didn't have amateurs. We had semi-pros.
Okay.
And the difference between the pros and the semi-pros,
Yes.
no elbows, and the round was 4 minutes.
Okay.
And that's it. That was the only difference. And
Okay.
we had slightly bigger gloves, if I remember, in some promotions. And after 1 year or 1 year and a half, I had my first fight. It was against a really good Muay Thai fighter. Really good. And he was like all juiced up, and I looked like chubby and all that.
Okay.
And I remember first punch, I saw the light, and I was like, oh, what am I doing here? And I was like, no, you like this, you enjoy this. So I started just wrestling with the guy, because I had like
He's a better striker, you think?
Yeah, he's a better striker. And we started just wrestling, doing some damage on the bottom, and then finished the fight, won by decision. And
Really?
that was my very first MMA fight, and it was a win. And then I had 8 semi-pro fights. I won all 8 of them, won a few titles as well. Then I turned professional in K1 style kickboxing as well. Had 5 or 6 fights, won a few titles as well. I had a title in Middlesbrough, a couple of titles in Middlesbrough, and it was amazing feeling. And then in 2011, 2012, that's when I turned pro. So I was like, okay, I like this. Let's continue. And I was working still at the same time. I was working in IT.
Okay.
Yeah. And then-
Is this a field you studied in?
So I studied IT management,
Yes,
yeah, and
yeah.
I was working in IT and finance as well. We were working with financial advisors. So by day I'm like on the computer, and then at night getting punched in the face
Yeah.
and punching
Kicking
people
people's
and all that. Yeah, and then man, like there wasn't a decision. It just happened, and when I turned pro, I won 2 fights, and I had a very good highlight reel knockout. It was like a cartwheel kick
Yeah.
that happened in the UK, and it
Yeah.
went viral like worldwide. And I got called.
This is actually one of my questions I wanted to ask you earlier on. Is so on your record you have clean KO wins by KO and by left hook KO, and you have a KO win by cartwheel KO. So if you could have the choice to at the stage of your career, at the level that you're at, and the promotion that you're at, if you could replicate either one of these KOs, which one would it be? I think it's
Man, both of them are sweet, but I think the cartwheel kick
Right?
is sweeter. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it can stand the test of time. It's viral forever.
Yeah,
somehow.
not many
Yeah.
people have a one-handed cartwheel kick knockout. you
Yeah,
know,
and
so
I don't think I couldn't find it. I tried to look for it. I couldn't.
the actual,
the actual-
footage
yeah.
of my knockout, it's on my Instagram. I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you. I think it's on YouTube as well. I think it's on YouTube. I'll send it to you.
Cool.
I'll show it to you.
We'll have it.
Yeah.
We'll have the.
If you want to see one-handed cartwheel kick knockout, go to my Instagram. You'll find it there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and honestly, it just happened. Like as we say, subhanallah, when things are meant to be, they're meant to be. Like I got called for a late notice fight in Dubai in 2013. It was against one of the golden boys of the UAE, one of the best fighters that came out of here, Ali Al Ahli, and later on he became one of my best friends, and we worked together actually. And I came here and I won by TKO, and it was an amazing fight. It was back and forth, but then I was the better man on that night. I won by TKO, and then I went back to my job and like sitting in a desk and working. And subhanallah, I get a call 1 year later saying, "Hey Anas, we saw your fight live here in the UAE, and we like your character, we like your fighting style, and we're gonna open a very big sports center here. We would like you to come and work for us and represent us in fighting, but it's gonna be full time."
Really?
And I thought, you know what, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Even though like I had a few choices at the time, whether I continue working or I got accepted for my PhD in Durham University,
Wow.
or go to Boston for a similar thing to work in sport.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what, the UAE, Arab country, Muslim country, I've been living in the UK for like 7 years, doesn't feel like home. So, you know, it was very attractive. I asked my parents as well. They were like, don't even think twice, you know. And then I jumped in, and subhanallah, I've been loving it since.
Yeah, mashallah. It's great to hear. I'm always interested in when fighters, and I always hear this from fighters at the highest level, and they always, whether they win or lose, they always said the sentence you just said: "I was the better man on the night," or "He was the better man on the night." But if you think about the mentality of a regular person, right, or a regular watcher, if they ever beat up somebody, in their head, I'm gonna kick this dude's ass every time we fight.
Mm-hmm.
They never think the way professional fighters think,
Mm-hmm.
which is you were just better today. Tomorrow I could be better than you. So could you elaborate on that a bit?
You know what? I've learned that in the last 10 or 11 years or 12 years of fighting, that okay, you have to be ready 100%, right? But you will never be ready 100%. There's always injuries. There's always something, right?
There's always something lacking.
Technique, you have to work on it like 120%, right? Your cardio, your conditioning, your strength, your even mental strength. You have to work on everything. But there is like one component which I believe in is whether you're lucky that night or not as well.
I agree.
You know, like sometimes it's just on that night, no matter what, like on paper you might win against this person 1,000 times, but that night something happens and it's not meant to be. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
and I really believe in that. I wouldn't say luck, but whether it's your night or not.
I agree.
And maybe you'll fight again the next day, you might win. The fight the next day, you might lose. So, and this is what I said before, the beauty of MMA is anything can happen. And we've seen it in sports in general. Like, we've seen so many upsets in sports, like football or basketball, or it can be anything, tennis, anything. In sports, there's always that upset that nobody expects. You know? And it happens. It happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's just it's always fighters at the highest level that use that sentence, you know. And I also think, like, I agree with you, and I think that luck plays like so much in fighting, and I want to tie that up to like the only person who we've seen go into MMA, fight at the highest level, become UFC champion, and leave, you know what I'm saying, undefeated, which is Khabib, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think Khabib was like, he managed to do that because of his fighting style as well? Because he's a wrestler, because he doesn't have to stand with these guys. I mean, he chose to stand with some of them, but because his game, there's no chances in his game. If I take you down, there's no chance of you landing, you know, left hook on me. Or,
yeah.
You know?
Also, there are levels to this game. That's for sure. There are levels, you know.
Do you think Khabib was a higher level than everyone?
In wrestling and his physical strength and also the mental strength, it's another level. It's another level. But like I said, it's whether it's meant to be or not, whether it's written or not. You know what I mean? I really believe that, you know. And for Khabib, it was meant to be like that, you know. For other fighters, maybe not. While probably they have a similar strength, similar techniques, like Randy Couture, for example, like a lot of other fighters.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know.
I agree.
And it doesn't have to be luck. It can be losing your concentration in a split second. You know, it can be like as bad as, you know, just head movements, and then you're moving your head. They throw a kick to the body, and you duck down by accident, and the kick lands to your head, and it's happened so many times. You know.
Yeah. MMA is a crazy game. Like,
yeah.
Anytime, I feel like every week people try to predict what's gonna happen, and no one ever does it successfully, you know. And I feel like this weekend was one of the big ones. You know, UFC 293, like Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya. We have a new middleweight champion, just in case people don't know.
Crazy.
You know, Sean Strickland is now the middleweight champion of the world. If you told me in a million years, like at the beginning of this year, if you told me by September, the middleweight champion of the world would neither be Israel Adesanya nor Alex Pereira, I would not have believed you.
It's crazy. It's
crazy.
crazy.
I would not have believed
And you see how strange it is. Like, for example, Alex Pereira won against Strickland, Adesanya won against Alex Pereira, and Strickland won against Adesanya. And there's no logic to it sometimes.
There's no logic because, like, he's now the middleweight champion of the world, so I gotta give him that respect. Like, now he's champ status, but 2 days ago, I didn't think he was at the same. He doesn't have the same accolades that Adesanya and Pereira does.
And nobody thought that.
Yeah, and
like, everyone can agree with you. Like, that's why I say it's crazy, and it has no logic sometimes. Sometimes it's just, it doesn't make sense. But like what I said before, is just, he was the man on that night. It was his night, meant to be, and then it happened. Yeah.
And it's very interesting the way that fight went, because for the first 4 minutes of that fight, it looked like it was going to be an Adesanya show. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He was popping the jab, moving around, a little bit of dancing. He had a bit of swag going on. But then he got knocked down by a huge punch. Like, I don't know if he saw it or he didn't. I don't know what exactly happened with that punch.
He was throwing a left hook at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't think he saw it very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when you think about like the biggest strikers that Adesanya has faced, Pereira never knocked him down. Mm-hmm. He hurt him, never knocked him down. Jan Blachowicz, you know, they exchanged, but he never knocked him down. Paulo Costa, all these guys, Yoel Romero, nobody knocked him down. So for Sean Strickland to be the first person to knock Adesanya down, I think
This is apart from the knockout by Alex Pereira, you mean?
in the UFC.
Yeah.
But he didn't fall. So even Alex Pereira didn't knock him down. He was hurt, and it was stopped at TKO. But was it a knockdown? The Alex Pereira fight?
Yeah, it was a TKO. No, he didn't
Yeah.
fall. Yeah.
It was a knockdown.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the first guy to knock him down in the UFC. And I think Chael Sonnen always has a saying. He has a quote. He's always like, your fighters are in trouble whenever they're in a fight that is harder than they thought it was going to be. I think this is what happened with Adesanya. Because if you see all his statements, he was saying, this is gonna be a master class. It's gonna be a work of art. I'm gonna KO him in 2 rounds. And Adesanya doesn't really talk like this. You know what I mean? He's always the guy that said, I'm the champ. If you want to fight me, come get it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna make it exciting while I'm champion. I will do that when I'm the challenger. But if you want me, come for me. So for that fight to go that way, I thought it was wow. I was so surprised. Yeah. And after the knockdown, for the rest of the fight, like, I thought we were gonna see Izzy open up. You know what I'm saying, and go back to his to what he does. Try to land some head strikes, but he didn't. He focused to the legs. He was trying to get him a bit to the body. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Very strange fight.
Yeah.
Okay. So Anas, I would like to ask you. You told me how you started MMA. Interesting story. Very funny. What is like when you started it? What were your inspirations? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, everybody wants to be world champ. Everybody wants to make it to the UFC, and you know what I'm saying. But I feel like there's also a reason why I asked you to be my first guest on the show. You know what I mean? And it's because you also do commentary for UFC Arabia. It's something that I've done as well, and it's something I really enjoy doing. And it's one of my goals in life. I want to do commentary for the UFC in English. I did it in Arabic. I'm fine, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like in English, I can show more, you know what I mean? So that's the goal, what I want to do. Inshallah, I get there. Inshallah. So for someone who, a lot of fighters at the highest level didn't have a choice, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have a first degree or a second degree, or, you know what I'm saying? Their only choice was fighting. So for someone who did have a degree in IT, who did do masters, or what was your aspirations in the sport when you joined, after you got back in shape, and now, like, you're now in shape, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right now, kind of. So I'm not in shape at all right now, coming back from an injury and surgery. So,
I meant as in you did your jiu-jitsu with the coach, you did the kickboxing, now you're back in shape.
You mean at that point?
At that point, yeah. Now you're back in shape. You know what I mean? You're not in football shape, but you're back in shape. What and you got the feelings from, you remember your feelings as a kid, but what was your inspiration then? You know what I'm saying? What were you trying to get there?
Honestly, like it was very strange. It's just the love for sport. And since childhood, I wanted to like become a professional, like sportsman, and whether it was football, or I used to play basketball as well. I was addicted to basketball, like watching the NBA in Morocco at like 4 a.m. pretending that I'm doing homework. Sorry, Dad. And it's just the love for sport, and I think that love for sport as well was thanks to my parents as well. Because my father, he was into sports as well, and he put that like mindset of like hard work and all that in me. But don't know, watching people that inspired me, for example, Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson or Bas Rutten, if you know Bas Rutten, one of the top OGs of MMA.
Yeah. Split.
And just, I don't know, that motivated me to like go far in sports, but also I wanted to represent my country. I wanted to raise the flag, you know, and that feeling, to me, it was like there's no feeling like that. It's amazing. You feel like you're on top of the world, especially when your hand is
Raised.
raised and you have the flag with you, and all your friends or the crowd with you, the Moroccans, they're cheering for you. Not only just the Moroccans, but like it's an amazing feeling when you have your friends supporting you, cheering for you, and when all the hard work pays off as well. And like it's something that I got from football as well. When you
Yeah.
work hard and you win the game, that feeling is amazing. And that went into MMA, and I wanted to go as far as I can. And alhamdulillah, like I won a few titles, a lot of medals in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. And I don't know, it's that feeling. I got addicted to it as well. And if you've never experienced that feeling, it's happiness amplified and multiplied by 20, and you feel like the adrenaline and everything. You feel on top of the world, literally. And I was just as well, like as we say, just riding the wave. Like I'm the type of guy that will go with the flow as well. And literally, like I said before, things just happen. Like it's like for me, I have this mindset of you can prepare whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, but you will go where it's meant for you to go.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I agree with that too, and and yeah, I feel like whatever God has written for us is always better than what we think we want.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really believe that. Like, so many times in life where, like, one door that you really, really wanted closed, and you think, like, it's the end, this is it. And then, subhanAllah, another door that's much better than that opens up, whether it's straight away or in a year or in a few years. And now that I'm thinking back, it's like, okay, I've always wanted to be a professional sportsman, whether it's football or basketball, or I didn't have literally a preference. I would have preferred it to be football, but literally I was like, I just love sports and that's what I want to do, you know? And subhanAllah, it's happened. Like a few years later, it happened. But when I was young, I was like, oh man, I'm not going to become a football player or whatever. And you have these doubts in your head, but something better happened, you know?
I think I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to limit you in any way, but I think from what I see from my seat, I think maybe you're a great fighter, but I think as a coach, you know what I mean, this is where it's really at. Like this is where I see it. You know what I'm saying? And I can see like the way I gravitate towards you. You know what I'm saying? I'm a couple of years younger than you, but I've gravitated towards you before. You know what I'm saying? The podcasting thing and whatever. But I've also seen younger fighters gravitate towards you too. You know what I'm saying? And the way they listen to you in the corner, the way the advice goes. I don't always get to be close enough to see it. You know what I'm saying? And some of these moments I try to not watch. I try to leave the corner. Like the corner work is for the corners and the coaches. You know, sometimes it's intimate moments, and sometimes I'm there and the advice is really like it's a game plan.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like maybe I shouldn't listen to this and I just leave. You know, but this is where I've really seen you shine, and I see the way these younger fighters react to you. So that could also be.
You know, that's like another Anas Siraj Mounir as well,
Yeah.
that enjoys it. You know, like I really enjoy coaching or like giving advice to these young fighters, and like when they apply that advice and they get like good results, the
Yeah.
satisfaction as well is just
Yeah.
something amazing. When you see the happiness on their faces and they're experiencing that win and they're experiencing what I've experienced as well, because I can relate to that feeling. Honestly, it's another happiness, another level of happiness and satisfaction. Like for example, in the World Championship, when I saw these kids like winning their fights, first they going in, they're nervous. They're like they don't want to go in, you know. And you share with them some thoughts, some experience, like how I used to go in the fights and what happens, and you try and like reassure them, you know. Look, whatever happens. You've done your homework, you've done the hard work. Now it's just time to ride the wave and have fun, you know. Just have fun with it. Just let it happen. Just control that fear. Let it happen. Everyone gets scared. Like when we hear the stories of GSP, when he used to go to the bathroom and cry and look at himself in the mirror and try to like talk to himself, and he's having doubts. Or one video that I saw recently of Mike Tyson standing outside and crying his eyes out, and then his corner comes in to give him like words of support and encourage him. And I tell them like it's normal. It's normal to feel these feelings. If someone says that I'm not feeling nervous or I'm not feeling something going into a fight, it's either that they're not into the fight, they don't want to fight, or they're lying. You know, you have it's crazy. Like fighting is crazy. You have
It is.
someone across the cage who's coming to take your head off, and you're agreeing about this. You know,
Yeah.
It's not logical. It's not natural. But
And now at this age, this person is training specifically tailored, you know what I'm saying, to expose your weaknesses.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying, that you've shown before to beat you up.
And like inside the cage is it's where the fighters they are the most vulnerable, and they're gonna show that. They're gonna show those emotions, whether they're insecure, whether they're angry, or whether and it's a position where you're gonna show like who you really are first of all, but you're gonna show your weaknesses as well. Like it's in front of a big crowd, in front of all the cameras, the lights. It's where you're gonna either show that you're a strong person or you're not. You know, a lot of people they
Yeah.
think like this, but it takes a lot of courage to go inside the cage. For me, anyone who goes inside the cage has a lot of courage, and it's not an easy thing to do. And whether you win or lose or draw,
Respect.
yeah, of course. For me personally, I would respect anyone who goes inside the octagon or the cage or whatever. And I was explaining this to the kids and like, look, whatever is meant to be is meant to be. It will happen. We don't know. Just enjoy it. You know, don't think about the result. Just enjoy every single moment. And like I see the kids, they're like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, right now we're warming up. Okay, let's just enjoy warming up. And then they start opening up. They start joking around. They're warming up, but they're joking and they're just living the moment and they're enjoying that moment. And when I see that from outside, it's like, man, that's beautiful to see, you know?
That is beautiful to see. That is very beautiful to see. And what's even more beautiful to see is seeing you guys get these gold medals. You know, like, I don't want to sound like the guy who's only about like gold medals and like only the first place, because that's not who we are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've finished first, but I've like before, but I've also finished last. I've also finished second, third. You know what I'm saying? And each one of them taught me something different. You know what I mean? Whenever I finished first, it showed me how perfect it could go. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you finish like the other positions, it can just not be your night. My interest, yeah.
We can learn from a loss more than we can learn from a win. Like literally, I believe that. I believe that we can learn from a loss way more. Like it's very weird. It's like at the end of the day, it's you against you. Like you're your own opponents. You know, for example, for me, the way I think, like it's me against me. Whether it's the weight cut, whether it's the hard training, whether it's the recovery, it's me against me. It doesn't matter about my opponents. I have to work every single aspect of mixed martial arts to be ready for anyone. Like that opponent can get changed last minute, you know. But it's the same thing when you lose. When you lose, it's you against you. It's you sit down with yourself. No matter what other people will say, it will not make you feel any better. At the end of the day, it's you who needs to make yourself feel better. You need to sit down, you draw on the boards, you say, okay, this is what I've done wrong, this is what happened, this is what I need to make better for the next time. And I feel like with the win, you just get, people, you're happy, you're on top of the world, people congratulate you, but then, okay, what next? What have I learned from this experience? I just threw this punch and it worked and it was my night, and then what? Okay, maybe I should have done this better, but then the level of improvement is way smaller than when you lose, I think.
True. I also think at the highest level, they try to replicate that feeling of a loss even when they win, where they would go back and watch their fights with the intention of I'm gonna find mistakes that I made, you know. But it's just the game is so crazy, because this is what Adesanya said going into this fight. I'm gonna go back, learn from the Poirer fight. I'm gonna show even more attention to detail to this fight. He said all the right things, did all the right things. You know what I'm saying? The fight just went completely different than what we thought, you know. So like you said, MMA is a crazy game. I would like to talk about the current scene. You know what I'm saying? The current scene. Generally, we can either start with, worldwide, which is the UFC, or we can start with our local scene, whichever one you prefer. So, okay. So let's start with the international scene. Who would you say is the best current fighter in the UFC, in your opinion?
Oof, it's a tough one. It's a very tough one. I honestly think Islam Makhachev is gonna achieve like big things, and he's gonna be a problem for a lot of fighters currently in the UFC.
You think he will go up to welterweight?
Oof, I wouldn't have a clue. I don't think so, but you never know. Again, Alex Volkanovski is amazing. He has shown us that he's a beast. To go up the weight and fight Islam and do what he did.
Wow,
that was an achievement on its own.
I agree.
So, well, there's a lot of fighters to choose from now, So let's see.
Yeah. My question is, so if you think currently Islam is the best fighter in the world currently?
For me, currently, yes.
Yeah. Because Islam has said openly, he was like, my perfect plan is, beat Charles Oliveira again in Abu Dhabi, beat Volkanovski again, and then go up and fight Leon Edwards for the welterweight title. Mm-hmm. This is what his coach has said publicly. Now, like we know, we don't even know who's going to be champ next at welterweight. Like, we have Colby fighting Leon Edwards, so that's a really pick-em fight. That's a toss-em fight. I'm not sure. Who'd you got for that fight?
Imagine if Colby wins. Now we have Colby,
Sean Strickland,
and Sugar Sean. Like, it's madness. Crazy. Who would have thought this can happen? Like if Colby wins, then it's a miracle.
Yeah, the American public is gonna love it. I think either way, the American public is gonna love having Sean Strickland as champ.
Yeah, I mean he talks the talk. He makes it interesting.
He makes it interesting. And if you go back to the UFC, we had, like, it's been a while since we had an American champion. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is the American champions that we had back in the day, Tito Ortiz, you know what I'm saying, Chuck Liddell,
yeah,
these guys. And then for a while you didn't have like, how do I say it without sounding like most of the American champions that came next were black American champions, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But it's been a while since we had an American champion who represented those values, you know what I'm saying, who wore the cowboy hat, who wore the cowboy boots, who did all those things. It's been missing for a while. And then suddenly we have Colby Covington, who's trying to get there, Sean Strickland, who's trying to get there, Sugar Sean is for everyone, if I think about it, And now, like, the American people now have Sean Strickland as champion, and they're really supporting him. And I think if the UFC decide to put the marketing machine behind him, I think he could become a superstar too.
Yeah, of course.
But he also needs a couple wins.
Yeah. He needs to defend the title a few times as well. But I think he's going to be very interesting as a champ.
I agree. And do you think if let's say, this is the fighter room, Dana White, Mick Maynard, the matchmakers, would you make Adesanya Strickland 2 next, or would you?
I think it's to be fair, I think it's going to be the next move, like, to put Adesanya for a rematch again. Yes.
Again?
Yes, I would, because he was the champion first, and even though he couldn't show everything he has during that fight, but to be fair to him, yes, I would.
I'm just playing the devil's advocate on the other side. I mean, Izzy now has a record nobody wants, you know what I'm saying, which is he's the only fighter to lose a UFC title twice in the same year. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's a record nobody wants to have. But he lost to Alex Pereira. He got the immediate rematch. He won. You know what I'm saying? he didn't defend the title at all. You know what I'm saying? This is his first defense of the championship. You know, I understand. I agree. Like his schedule is crazy.
Yeah.
He's the most active champion in UFC history, like hands down. He should be rewarded for that. You know, I'm just thinking, what if? You know what I'm saying? What if they tell Adesanya, listen, you will get the shot, you know, but just for now, just chill. You've done, however, he has the record for the most title fights in the shortest amount of period.
Yeah.
Like, you have all this. Just go chill for 3 months. Just go, you know, eat, relax, go on vacation, whatever. We're not going to announce who's next for the title fight. We're going to wait till UFC Abu Dhabi, you know what I'm saying? Let Chimaev and Costa get into it, you know, and then from there we see. Because now it's wide open. Now you can make, you know, Duplessis versus Sean Strickland.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can make Costa versus, you know, the winner of those guys can be the winner. Robert Whittaker is still just, you know, just around. He's just there. So,
Yeah, of course it's gonna be more interesting to do that, but like at the same time, like out of respect, like you said, for what Adesanya has achieved so far,
I agree.
and what he's done, like I would, if I was there, I would give the rematch straight away to Adesanya. But I see your side of the story as well. Like it would be much more interesting if those guys come in as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, Izzy, like, I was surprised when they showed the graphic and it said Izzy was 34. I'm like, damn, already?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I still think he has time.
Yeah.
You know, I still think he has time for, because I think it will only make the middleweight division more interesting if we just have the little bit of a mix-up, you know, the change-up. I think it will be very interesting. But I agree with you. Also, Adesanya has always been a company man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He saved a lot of fights. He also has that Conor McGregor fight anyone, anytime. You know what I'm saying? Even if an opponent pulls out, I'm still going to be here. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think that's because also Dana White said, you know, they asked him in the post-fight press conference, do you make, do you give Adesanya an immediate rematch? And he's like, yeah, I think it makes sense. You know.
Yeah, there are certain things
Yeah.
that should be respected.
Definitely,
I think,
I agree
between
with you. But I think when you have a champ like that, you don't get many opportunities where they just drop the ball. You know, Adesanya has been ruling with an iron fist. You know what I'm saying? He didn't, you know, so for whenever you get that small opportunity, you know, you could make a fight.
Yeah, of course.
You could make a fight. But, cool. Okay. So your current favorite fighter or your current best fighter, you would say Islam Makhachev. If I asked you all time, who do you think? I don't want to. I'm gonna ask you your favorite all time fighter, or you're the best fighter you've seen all time. It could be two different answers or one answer. For me, it's two different answers.
In combat sports in general or in MMA?
Combat sports.
Yeah, obviously for me, I'll go personally with Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
So in combat sports, for me, he was, and he's still a role model. Allah yarhamah.
Allah yarhamah.
Like the things that he's achieved in those times is something like, it's crazy.
And the things
It's
he stood
crazy.
for.
Yes, exactly. Like the values that he stood for is it's out of, I don't know, it's out of the norm of a fighter. You know, like whether politically or even from a humane point of view, it's he's a role model.
I agree.
To follow.
I agree. He went higher than the plane of a regular fighter.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
In MMA,
Okay.
Bas Rutten is one of my favorites. The things that he's achieved in a very short time as well, and also as a person, he was so funny.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. I think Bas Rutten, if he chose to stay in the UFC longer than he did without going to Japan, I think a lot of people agree with you. But
Yeah,
he just went early.
Yeah, but
He went early to Japan.
Like we have to remember, he came from a striking background, striking only,
Yes.
striking only, and he jumped into pancreas.
Yeah.
And then he lost by a submission. He was like, what is this? Okay, let me try and learn how to defend it. So he learned how to defend. Then he started catching people with submissions.
Yes.
You know, and then he goes all the way to becoming a UFC champion in the early days. And like, for me, that's crazy, you know.
Yeah,
And,
for me
he
too.
fought against people of a high caliber like Kevin Randleman and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, And even his character is
He's
very interesting.
He's a very interesting guy. He's a funny guy. Has an accent, you know what I mean? He's not American, you know, a lot of people don't know, but he's not American, you know what I'm saying? He has an accent. Does the splits when he wins, you know what I'm saying? Nasty liver shot, you know what I'm saying? He's the first person that I saw do the training on the dummies, where he would punch a dummy and it will show the damage it does. Yeah. And he was tearing spleens and breaking like livers with like
his body shots were lethal. They were lethal.
Wow, like Bas Rutten. For me, I feel like my favorite fighter of all time is Anderson Silva. Like that's like for me, that's the guy who I feel like had the most magic. He's the guy that showed the most magic. He's the guy that
he's like the Ronaldinho of MMA.
Yes, that's exactly on point. Yeah, and I could like I only remember. I used to hear other people say this. I remember the feeling this person or performer gave me, and I'm just like, bro, I would rather remember the performance. But now, 10 years later, 12 years later, I only remember the feeling. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That Anderson used to give me, and no other fighter gave me that feeling. Like with Anderson Silva, I just knew. I'm like, I'm either gonna see a master class, or I'm gonna see him win. Like I'm gonna see magic, regardless. Yeah. Until, you know, Chris Weidman came in one day and just took everything away. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
That was a tough one. That was a tough one.
That was very tough to see.
That was a tough one. Like, I still remember where I was exactly, who I was sitting next to. I was in a cafe in Abu Dhabi called Warriors Muharib. And I'm saying 7 a.m., sitting next to my friend Hafti. We're watching this fight. And when Anderson dropped, neither me and this guy reacted. We didn't react. You know, the fight was stopped. Herb Dean is waving it, and both of us we're just looking at the screen.
Shock.
We're just screen, and he's going like, oh no, he's just joking. He's gonna get up. You know what I'm saying? It can't be real.
Yeah, and then you saw the leg, and then you were like,
no, not the second fight. The first fight, the KO.
First one,
the KO. Yeah. Because the second fight, like that's when I was like, that was heartbreak. Yeah. The second fight was heartbreaking.
For me, that was more heartbreaking than the first one. Yes.
Yeah. I agree with you totally. But the first one, I was just shocked.
Yeah.
Because every time Anderson put his hands down and started messing around, I'm like, no, like, you know. But my heart was still telling me, bro, that's Anderson. Just just trust him. Let him do it. You know. Yeah. He did it. He just overdid it. You know what I'm saying? And I will always say, what knocked out Anderson Silva that day is the left hook, but it was the backhand that Chris Weidman threw, because he didn't throw 4 strikes, he threw 5. He threw the jab, and then he threw a backhand, and then he threw the left hook. You know, instead of just jab and left hook. Yeah. So
but look, that's the thing about sports in general. In general, that's the thing about sports, and like anything can happen. And especially for someone just like Anderson Silva, who's living for the fans and the crowds and for the entertainment part of it as well, or like in football as well. If you do something and it works, people will clap for you. If you do something and it doesn't work, people will call you, I don't know, stupid, and call you names and silly and what is he doing and all that. And that's the game. That's the game, man. Like, especially if you live just to win and not entertain the crowd, he's boring. It just takes people down and hugs them and waits until the fight finishes. So
it's amazing that to hear this mentality, to hear that, like, you, like, to know that, to hear you say it that way, you know, because that is the problem a lot of fighters have faced. You know, like GSP, he was technically beautiful. He was amazing. You know, his fighting style was amazing. Good looking dude. I hated watching GSP fight. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like GSP fights, I'm like, I know I'm gonna see beautiful technique. I'm probably gonna see the best game plan I've ever seen all year long. You know, the coaches are gonna be saying some amazing stuff in the corner. But I also know, once this fight starts, I'm most probably sitting here for the next 30 minutes. Yeah, it's not gonna be a finish. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's gonna get taken down an elbow, probably, but it never. I watched all his fights, but I was never like. I was waiting for him to lose, to be honest.
But we remember Anderson Silva's performances and highlight reel KOs and all that more than we remember GSP's performances.
Yes.
I mean, with all due respect to GSP, he's an amazing athlete. He was winning against athletes in using their own strengths, or like winning against wrestlers using wrestling, winning against jiu-jitsu fighters using jiu-jitsu. But performance wise, like if we look at it in general, Anderson Silva like has some highlight reel KOs that were very, very entertaining and unforgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Anderson was also doing it. The people who Anderson were doing it too. You know, to KO Vitor Belfort like that, to KO these guys like
Forrest
that.
Griffin, like the way he KO'd him.
Yeah,
like,
that was nasty. That was nasty.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. But like I said, this is sport, and I will repeat it. If you do something crazy and it works, people will clap for you. If you do something crazy but it doesn't work, and it can, I mean, there's always that risk that it will not work. People will start laughing at you or calling you silly, or it's sometimes. I mean, the crowd is amazing, but sometimes they're not fair. Sometimes, huh?
Yeah, I don't like. I think, okay, instead of me, because I've competed, you know what I'm saying, but I've never fought somebody in front of a sold out crowd, So we'll use your experience for this question. Do you think it matters, the crowd, like, or not? Do you think it matters for you as personally, as Anas Siraj Mounir? Who do you think, like, does it matter to you when you're fighting in your hometown? Or does it matter, or is it better for you to be fighting like away, like in like in your opponent's hometown?
If we look at it from that side, whether it's hometown or away, it of course you're gonna get motivated more when it's hometown and you hear your crowd cheering for you with every strike, with everything, like shouting your name. You get motivated more. If I'm away, it doesn't make any difference.
It's just business.
But the worst was when I fought without crowd during COVID.
Really?
That was weird. That was so strange. Like you don't hear anyone. You just hear the corners. You hear the commentators even, which was the first time that's happened to me. Like usually you can hear your corner and the crowd. Now you start hearing like some sounds that you never heard before, and that was very weird. That was very strange.
Please, if you could elaborate more on that, please go ahead, because a lot of fighters have said the same thing, that like a lot of fighters have said it elevated their performance, for different reasons. If you remember Justin Gaethje, he never had a fight as technically solid as when he fought Tony Ferguson in an empty arena, right? So
I don't know. For me, it was a very strange feeling. Like you're used to walking in, I don't know, as something as small as like shaking people's hands or touching people's hands and walking and looking at the crowd and getting that. I don't. For me, I get fueled from the crowd, Or if you land a punch and you hear the crowd shouting, and you get that fuel. Okay, that punch was good. That's good. I need to do more.
Yeah.
And or sometimes with every low kick, the crowd would shout. Something as small as passing the guard. Now in my last fight in UAE Warriors, just getting a sweep and you hear the crowd like going crazy. That gives you that fuel and that motivation. But when you're in there and you're just hearing like
technical
people,
advice,
yeah, or just the corner and the commentators, or you're hearing someone saying, I don't know how much time is left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a very strange feeling.
I also, like, while you're telling that story, I also thought of something. I don't want to do this just for the professionals. Like, the corner are professionals, my team is professionals, and the people who work here are professionals. I want to do it for the fans.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Like when I fought Leandro and I got the knockout.
Yeah.
I went to go around the cage to celebrate, and then I realized, okay, there's no one in the crowd. So then I'll go back to the middle, and then that's it. You know what I mean? So it was very strange.
Was it anticlimactic?
Not really. No, you always
The
feel
KO is
that.
a KO.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
And especially with the adrenaline, and you're like, for me, the way it works is like you're on autopilot. You're in a bubble, and you just let it happen. You just ride the wave. And when that happens and you feel like that's it, you won, it's an amazing feeling. So it didn't take away anything from the feeling inside, but you think after, you think, okay, it would have been better if there was a crowd.
Okay, I agree. All right. What do you think? Who do you think is the best gym in the world? Like, I don't want to say best gym, but best fighting team in the world.
Oh, best fighting team.
If not your team, not your people, if you like.
That's a very difficult question, but if we look at it like throughout the history, I think Shooter Box and the, what is it called, the Valetudo team, they produced a lot of beasts and a lot of champion. But I think, in my opinion, right now, that's a very difficult question. I think AKA is a very good team right now.
I agree.
Is producing beasts. The Aussies, what is it called?
City kickboxing.
Yeah,
City kickboxing.
yeah. They're producing some beasts as well right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think on top of the head, that's what comes up to my head. But I'm sure there's a lot of great teams and stuff like that.
I agree. The AKA was my choice too. AKA was my choice because I think they had the most champions recently. They at some point they had like Khabib, DC, and I don't know if Luke Rockhold was also champion in that same period.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, but I remember there was a time like they had
Cain Velasquez. He was a champion at that period as well, if I remember well. Or no, just before Khabib, he was a champion.
Yeah, Khabib, DC were champion at the same time. Kane was before them.
Yeah, that's
it was a
true.
bit before them.
Yeah, but still, to look at their record and like the list of champions, that's crazy.
Yeah, and for us to think that generation went, and then you directly have Islam champ again. Yeah, it's crazy. And then
that means they have the right formula.
Yeah, and then now we have Khabib Nurmagomedov at 135.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think he's gonna achieve great things as well.
Yeah?
I think so. Yeah.
Because he's what I find very interesting about him is last name Nurmagomedov, but he's a striker.
Yeah.
He's a striker, legit striker, spinning back kicks, head kicks, everything. You know, of course he can wrestle. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. He's very exciting. He's very exciting to watch.
Again, on paper, I think he's gonna achieve great things. But at the end of the day, this is life as well. You know. So let's see what curveballs are thrown at him. And all that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you always like predict like a long career for someone or great things, and then something happens, and you never know. But let's see. It's very interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. And it's also very interesting that at the same time, like, when Khabib was the same age as he is now, he was also facing the same issues.
Mm-hmm.
He was facing injury problems and, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So let's see if he gets to correct it, you know, soon. All right. The youth MMA team, the Emirati team. Let's highlight it for a bit. You know what I'm saying? It's the talents that you guys have there. Who do you think is first of all? Do you think there are any talents that can make it to the highest level out of the UAE? Like, do you see any talent that you have identified? Like, okay, this person, that person.
Honestly, not one, not two. It's many athletes that will come out in the future, and I'm telling you from now, I think the UAE is going to be a factory of like high level athletes. Because what I saw in the youth championship is incredible. Like high level techniques by kids and and it's amazing to see.
Amazing.
And it's great to see as well the fire that they have inside. You know, they want to represent the UAE in the best way possible.
That flag,
like the ones that lost as well, they had that fire. They were crying. They were crying, not because of the pain of the loss, but like because they couldn't get on the podium to lift their flag, you know. And that's an amazing thing to see. Like, it shows it's not just a technical aspect or a fighting aspect. It's the mental aspect as well, and they have heart, you know. And I think, like, technically, the UAE is gonna produce some amazing fighters. If it keeps going on this way, if, like, I'm so amazed and surprised with the support that they're getting. The support has been great, like the training facilities, coaching, even like something as the recovery that they're getting, stuff like that. And honestly, like, they're going on the right path to greatness when it comes to MMA.
I agree totally. And like, I've seen some of these performances, and I've seen these kids, because I got to be to call the fights last year, the 2022, and this year as well. So some fighters I actually got to see 2 years in a row, and I got to see how these people progressed. And some fighters, from when I saw them last year, I didn't see them lose.
Yeah.
Like, these fighters, and they're just building that mentality, and they're building that, you know?
I mean, like, if we look at it, last year I think there was only one medal.
Yes, it was only Hosseini that had the medal. Yeah.
And this year there was 12 medals.
Wow.
So that's big improvement.
And the fastest finish in the championship.
Yes.
And the fastest finish.
Yes.
You know, shout out to Ghala Hamadi. What was it? Was it armbar? 13 seconds?
Yes.
Conor McGregor numbers.
Honestly, like,
Yeah.
I'm really amazed and also, like, surprised in a good way at these kids and their performances and the way they were performing, whether inside the cage or outside the cage as well. Like, even outside the cage, very nice, very very polite, very well educated, and I think it's gonna be, like, even better and better in the future.
So while I was preparing my questions, I wanted to ask you, who did you think was going to be the first Emirati fighter in the UFC? But since it has been announced, Muhammad Yahya has been signed to the UFC. He's fighting at UFC 294. So shout out to Muhammad Yahya. Shout out to UAE Warriors, you know, for getting another one into the UFC. Congratulations. Your thoughts?
Honestly, a big congratulations, and very well deserved as well for Muhammad Yahya, mashallah.
Absolutely.
He's UAE Warriors champion, and honestly, he's a champion inside and outside of the cage. Like, if you've ever met him and spoke to him, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Like, mashallah, very, very polite,
down to earth,
and he wants to work hard. You know, he's a hard worker. He wants to learn all the time. Like, he listens to his corner, and I think he deserves it. He deserves it the most. I would love to see more Emirati fighters coming up to reach to that level as well, and I think they will, for sure. There's some great potential here in the UAE.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And, you know, Muhammad Yahya comes out from a great team as well. Shout out to him. Shout out to his team. And best of luck, UFC 294. I wanted to ask you a bit about your training and preparation. So you fought at 155, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your walk around weight, or like when you're in shape, not when you're, you know what I'm saying, when you're in shape, not when you're injured or anything else.
Yeah, like when I'm in shape, like 82 kilos, 81, 82.
So 180 pounds.
Probably. I'm not really good with pounds. Okay. I'm good with kilos. I just know 155 because that's the weight they tell us to be, and I convert it to kilos. So like, for example, I will cut within my fight camp. I'll probably cut, if I'm in a good shape, I'll cut 10 to 12 kilos.
Damn.
Within a good fight camp, like I'm talking about 8 weeks. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I don't look it, but I'm a heavy guy.
Yeah, and I started because I would always I know the weight classes, right? But whenever I meet fighters, they're close to their weight.
Mm-hmm.
They're very close to their weight, and then through the last couple of years, I started meeting fighters outside of camp, And then I'm like, bro, these dudes are huge. You know what I'm saying? How is this person like making 155? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. You know, and the weight cut, the process. How's the weight cut process? Is it simpler here in Dubai or is it harder? You know what I'm saying? What? How do you think?
I think if you ask anyone about the weight cut process, I think most of the fighters will agree with me that that's the fight. And that's what I said before, when it's you against you. It's the discipline, it's the hard work, but it's also like the diet, the nutrition. It's a science as well. You have to learn it as a science. When I first started, like, nobody taught me about the weight cut. I just learned it by myself. They will just tell me, okay, you have this weight category, go and make it, you know, and you just do whatever you have to do to make that weight category, you know. And then with time, I started learning about the weight cuts, and like, there's no big secret, but it's just you burn more than you eat, but in a healthy way, you know, in a good way. You have the right nutritions to perform and to go through the day, and also you stay hydrated. Now, staying hydrated as well is a science. It's not just about drinking water and that's it. No, because if you drink a lot of water, your body will flush it. So it's about getting the electrolytes, the level of electrolytes of the salts and minerals, all that. And it's a full science. Even after the weight cut is another full science of recovery. You don't just start eating whatever you like going eating like cakes, and which I was doing in my beginning. I would like do the weight cut and I'll start eating cakes and biscuits and chocolates because I missed it and all that. And then during the performance, you feel like your body is not reacting really well. And it's something that we have to learn a lot about, especially here in the UAE. I think we need to educate the fighters about the weight cuts and the recovery process.
Okay. I mean, you have a platform. If you have any advice you want to give, especially about, because I see you emphasize the recovery more than when you say recovery, you mean the rehydration?
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to meet a certain weight category like 24 hours or plus before the fight, and then you have 24 hours to recover from that weight cut if you have dropped, like, depending on how severe was the weight cut. Some fighters, unfortunately, they're not healthy about it, so the way they do the weight cut, they'll drop 10 kilos in like 3 days or something like that, and that will affect your performance, like
100%.
Not just your body but even your brain. Like, you don't really react well, you don't process things very, very well.
Really?
And
you don't take shots very well.
Exactly.
Like,
yes,
I think,
just a touch can affect you more than if you were like in your normal state. And the recovery is very, very important for that, because you have to go back to how you were before the weight cut, you know, physically and mentally as well. And I think it's a very, very big, complicated science, and you have like different ideas and different ideologies about it, that it can be very confusing. It can be very, very confusing.
It's confusing because when you talk about somebody who's just starting MMA, you'd be like, okay, for example, Anas Siraj Mounir, he's fighting at 155. You know what I'm saying? But they would look at you and be like, okay, but he could do very well at 170. You know what I'm saying? He's not short. You know what I'm saying? He has the body, everything. He could do well at 170. How do you explain to these people the difference when somebody is fighting at 170 and somebody's fighting at 155? Although they might be the same size, they might be the same height, the same weight, but somebody's just bigger than the other person. How do we explain that? And how do we show, like, where do we like draw the line? Where I know I can make 170, but I can also, like, if I kill myself, I can make 155. Where should people like draw the line that, okay, I'm not gonna try and lose any more weight?
Yeah, like, look, for example, we'll have to go back to explain to everyone, for example, why do we cut weight?
Okay.
First of all,
yeah, let's do it.
We cut weight. So let's say my weight is 83 right now. If I fight at middleweight, people will just say, "Oh, don't cut weight. Just fight at middleweight, and that's it." But the person that I'm gonna be fighting has cut probably like 10 or 15 kilos coming to the fight. So when we're fighting, that person is gonna have 10 or 15 kilos more than
Advantage.
me, and that makes a big difference. If people tell you weight doesn't make a difference, shut up. It makes a big difference, because when someone just puts you against the fence and puts their body weight on you, you're carrying a lot of weight, and that will affect your performance. The muscle is gonna get tired way faster than if you're carrying someone who's 10 or 15 kilos lighter. It's logic. So far, it's easy. Even the force of the punch is different.
Yes.
Because they're carrying more weight with it. Now, the advantage of not cutting weight is that maybe your performance is going to be longer and steadier than the person who's cutting a lot of weight. You're going to be feeling fresh, you're going to be feeling fast, you're going to be feeling like your endurance is longer than the person who's cut a lot of weight. Because with the weight cuts, you lose some endurance, and also, as you said, like, you can't take the hits as much as someone who's not cutting a lot of weight. So there's pros and cons, but you'd rather fight someone at your own weight category who's going to be, during the fight night, probably the same weight or almost the same weight as you, so that you have more chances of winning.
Yeah, I feel like now it's becoming weight cutting is becoming an art itself.
Yes.
Where I see fighters and I'm like, 10 years ago, you would be a middleweight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now they're lightweights.
Yeah.
Like Jalen Turner. Let's be real. Jalen Turner, lightweight, 6'4".
Yeah.
And then today on my way here, I saw a post. There's a kid who's 6'8" that fights at 135.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I also feel like the reason I brought up weight cutting is, do you feel like the sport favors tall, skinny guys? I'm serious. Like because if you think about weight cutting, it favors a person who's longer and leaner.
I mean, on paper, yes. On paper, yes, because they're gonna have the reach advantage. They're gonna have, like, even for grappling, like, they have long legs. They can start catching triangles, arm bars, all of that. Yes, on paper, yes, but in reality,
power is the great equalizer.
Yeah, we've seen so many people who are, like, look at Mike Tyson, for example. He was short for his weight category, but he was knocking people out. He was faster. He was stronger. It just depends.
But at the highest level, when he met the Evander Holyfields, when he met, you know what I'm saying, those guys, it mattered.
Yeah, of
size
course.
mattered.
Yeah.
So this is imagine Mike Tyson at 205. You know what I mean? He could have made it. He wasn't fat. He could have. I don't know if he could have made it, to be honest, but I'm just saying, Mike Tyson at 205 would have been a scary thought.
Yeah.
Let me ask you some questions from your career. So earlier on, I asked you about your inspirations and what you were, and we always start a subject and we run off somewhere else. So, still, is your inspiration still to win titles, make it to the UFC? Is this still your inspirations, or did it shift a bit?
I mean, of course it has shifted a bit. Like, you have to think about after the fighting as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to make something.
And especially with all your success now, like this is what I mean by shifted a bit. Like, you have more than one option. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do the commentary, you can do the coaching. You know what I'm saying? We already know you have a career as a, you know what I'm saying, like whatever you studied, like IT and whatnot. But are the goals still the same? Is
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Like, everything is still the same. I would love to go as far as I can in the sport. And with that being said, it's not just the fighting. Like, when I do something, I would love to do it properly, I like doing it properly. Fighting, go as far as I can, especially now. Now it will be my prime, inshallah. Once I recover. Like, we've seen, for example, Muhammad Fakhruddin. At the age of 36, 37, 38, it was his prime. He was knocking people out, winning titles.
Yeah.
And we've seen it many times with Randy Couture. We've seen it with Dan Henderson. We've seen it with so many fighters. And also, like the coaching aspect, I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the satisfaction that it brings. And the commentating is something amazing. Like since the day I started, I've been enjoying it so much, and looking forward to improving in it as well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
anything that I do, I like to do it properly. And I know no one is perfect, but I'm always aiming for that level. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So no, the plan is still the same.
Amazing.
Inshallah.
Amazing. Inshallah. And what are some of your most significant challenges that you think you faced in competition, like in the cage, in the octagon? You know, it could also be like the preparation, the weight cuts, whatever you think.
I think one of the most challenging things was the injury. Like honestly, we don't appreciate our health until it's taken away from us, and then you realize like,
damn.
Wow, like we have to look after ourselves. Like literally, the blessings that we have, we can't really count them. You know, when you're healthy, that's a big blessing.
Yeah.
And like even mentally, you're like, okay, what do I do now? You know, and that's very challenging. One of the biggest challenges that I had inside the cage was, I think, dealing with one fighter, Alfie Davis. Bro, he was such a trash talker that like he would get into people's minds, you know, like it was like Conor McGregor style of trash talking, if not even worse. And I remember that fight we had it in Dubai, but it was promoted like 1 month before the fight, which was something that I wasn't used to. I was back then, I think 5-1, still at the beginning of my career. Yeah, and he was 9-2 or something like that. And he had this fight, I think it was posted everywhere online that if he won the fight against me, he would have gone to the UFC.
Okay.
And he was giving everything, like trying to show that he's
at that level.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And for me, I didn't understand because first of all, we're here in the UAE. We don't really do a lot of trash talk. We respect everyone. As fighters, I think in the Arab world in general, there's that respect between the fighters. Like you rarely see anyone trash talking. And also because of the following that I have, like I'll start with my parents. Like my parents are following me on social media and everything. I have the kids that I coach, their parents, you know, high people here or everywhere. And I couldn't really reply to the trash talk by trash talking, so it was building up, you know, and I was just saying like, you know what, I'm gonna let my hands do the talking inside the cage, and that's all I could say. And inside I was boiling up, like even to a point where my mother saw the trash talking that he did, because it went viral, and she was like, and before every fight, like my mom, like she wouldn't watch my fights, she would just say, look, just be safe please. That's all I'm asking. And during this fight, she was like, I saw what he said. I heard what he said. I don't care if you lose or win or what. I don't care if you die. You're going to go and beat the guy up. I want you to beat him up.
Wow.
And it was like that to me, that was very strange. Like my mom to switch into beast mode, you know?
Yeah. Did that also, do you feel like that also switched your energy?
Of course. Yeah. It really fueled me. Like it
positively.
Yeah, positively. Like I had something to prove against this guy, you know, and I had to shut him up, you know what I mean? Like, and he wasn't just a talker, he's a high level fighter. Like, especially his striking, they call him the axe man, because he wins fights by axe kicks.
Damn.
So he's that good, you know.
Wow.
And it's annoying when someone is a trash talker but can back it up.
Yeah,
right?
it's really annoying.
It's very annoying.
Really annoying.
But alhamdulillah, that fight went amazing. Like the crowd was amazing. The game plan was really good. The preparation for it as well, it was really good, because like I was very motivated. I had no choice but to win. Win or die, you know.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, won that fight in good fashion. It was a very entertaining fight.
Was it a finish or was it by decision?
No, it was by decision. He was tough as nails. But like we were talking trash inside the cage. Like I was pinning him against the fence and going like, talking trash in his ear and everything, talking in English, in Arabic, in Moroccan even, like, and the referee had to separate us. It was very entertaining. If you haven't watched that fight, try and watch it, like against Alfie Davis. It's very, very entertaining. And no, it was very good result at the end, very good result, and that was, I think, one of my biggest challenges fighting wise, and the best result as well.
And I think one of your best accomplishments too, because it's a win that aged very well.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Right now, Alfie Davis is a Bellator fighter. You know what I'm saying? He's doing very well as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Yeah.
It's a very good win. It's a win that aged very well. Okay. I think we have like maybe 3 more minutes. So you can tell us about your future goals. What do you think? You can tell me personally a couple of your future goals. And, since you're now coaching the youth team, you can also tell me some of your goals or aspirations for the team.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would love to go as far as I can in fighting for however long I can, and hopefully achieve great things again. And also, like, for the youth team, shout out to everyone that was involved with the UAE national team, from the staff to the fighters to the athletes to the coaching crew. The coaching crew was amazing. We gelled really well. There was very good chemistry. It was effective but fun as well. Like, we had fun doing it, and everyone gave everything they got. Like, I lost my voice after. Like, a few of us lost the voice after that.
Yeah.
So shout out to them, and I would love to also, like, help improve mixed martial arts in the UAE in general by helping these young athletes. That's a future plan. Continuing commentating and improving as well, and being involved in like enhancing the mixed martial arts in the country, and helping people like achieving their goals as well. That's something that I feel very happy about as well.
I agree, and I couldn't agree more with these goals.
And also, sorry I interrupted you. Like, something that was not disappointing, but I would love that. I would love that it changes. There was no Moroccan national team in the youth MMA, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think we have like big talent in Morocco.
I agree.
Like, just looking at what we've achieved in Muay Thai, like, there's some amazing fighters in Muay Thai or kickboxing as well. Morocco is very known for the striking, and like, so the list is very long. I would love that to happen in the future, as we get like a Moroccan national team to go to these kind of competitions and represent the country, and I'm sure that these young athletes will achieve great things as well.
I agree with you, because I feel like the UFC is the MMA world minimized. So when you look at it and you see that we have more than one fighter in the UFC who's Moroccan, it's straightforward. It only makes sense for them to come compete.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was the first episode of Shadi from Abu Dhabi, straight from DJ Corner. This was an amazing episode. Anas Siraj Mounir, thank you so much for being here. The first guest, it's my honor to have you. You're a professional fighter yourself. Hopefully back in the cage very soon. UFC Arabia commentator, UAE national team coach. Please tell the people whatever you want to tell them.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching us, everyone. And just want to do a shout out to Cyberfight Clothing, and also 99 Fighters for all the support as well. Thank you very much, and a shout out to all the family and friends and everyone around the world, especially in Morocco.
Shout out to everybody. Subscribe, like, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let me know who do you want to see next on Shadi from Abu Dhabi. My goal is to have Dana White and Conor McGregor on here. So we'll see them soon in the future. See you guys soon. Much love. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, sir. All good?
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you very much. Nice, huh? Yeah, very good. I really enjoyed it. Nice flow.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shadi from Abu Dhabi, your premium MMA podcast in the region and the country. Shout out to DJ Corner. Thank you guys for having me. You have this beautiful equipment out here. Come out to the shop, buy it, see what's up. My first guest ever on the show, Anas Siraj Mounir. Pleasure to have you.
The pleasure is all mine, Shadi, and thank you for inviting me for this first episode. Hopefully, first of many.
Inshallah,
wishing you,
first
inshallah.
of many, and hopefully we go viral, get a lot of success, inshallah.
Inshallah, wishing you so much success. And it's a very nice facility here you've got as well.
Yes, I appreciate DJ Corner for providing me with this amazing facility. Thank you guys for having me. Anas Siraj Mounir, great to see you, sir.
Great to see you too.
Okay.